Dear Mr. I want to support my child's mental health, but I'm afraid I'm putting too much pressure on them or making things worse. How can I be there for them without overwhelming them? Ooh, great question. In today's world, mental health is such a huge thing, and there is so much mental health this, mental health that, and your child might have this diagnosis, and here's what to do if you see these signs. And there's so much out there that it can feel really overwhelming as a parent or as a teacher or as a caregiver. And guess what? Kids feel that too. So we want them to feel supported in their mental health, but we don't want to chase down every little thing that might be going on and leading to somewhere, because guess what? If you're looking for something, you're probably going to find it. But we also want children to know that they can come to us if something's going on and all others. But we also don't want them to feel like I'm putting all of this on you and let's make sure that you don't have depression or anxiety or trauma, because then that can add even more stress and overwhelm in their brains. So, some of the best things that you can do are by starting small. Really, if you see that your child is, for instance, showing an emotion, just validate that emotion. Don't try to tell them to stop having that emotion. Don't try to switch that emotion. Don't try to even take away that emotion. Just validate it. Look at them and say, I see you're angry right now. Or, I see you're sad. Yep, that was embarrassing. Whatever it might be, validate their emotions. And then it comes down to having this consistently safe environment where your child can share with you. So it's not, sometimes as adults and caregivers, we look for these huge moments where everyone is just crying with joy about how great it went. And most of the time, it's just not how life goes. Most of the time, it's pretty mundane and it's pretty day to day. But if you will consistently implement things where you are talking to your child about their day and talking to them about their feelings and talking to them about any difficult things that might be going on and really listening to them, not just sharing your thoughts and sharing your advice, but letting them get out how it's feeling to them and what they think they should do and how their friendships are going and what they're interested in. And you will consistently implement that process. Then when bigger things come along, they won't feel like it's such a burden to share it. If we wait for big things to come along, then the child has difficulty sharing those things because they haven't been able to share little things along the way. They haven't been able to build up that ability to be able to share more and more and more difficult things. If we're just waiting for the huge thing, for the bullying or for the trauma or whatever it might be, then it's less likely a child can even know how to approach you and share about those really tough things. But if consistently, each day, you're having a conversation with your child about how their day went, what they thought about it, some of the good things, some of the tough things, and just making it normal, not hyper-focusing on especially the difficult things, where if your child says, well, I got in a fight with my friend today, they took a toy from me. It's not, how dare they take a toy from you? I'm going to call the school and everybody's going to get fired. And no, just, your friend took a toy? That sounds tough. Tell me what happened next. And just normalize these conversations, even about difficult things. If you'll do that about a child who got their toy taken away, then when something more difficult happens, they'll remember, well, I shared about this. This is really just one step more than that. And then maybe something more difficult happens. Well, I shared about these things, and this is really just one step more difficult than that. Sometimes parents will tell me that they try this with their children and they say, you know, I asked them how their school day went and they said it was good, and then they went to their room and that's all they wanted to do. Well, guess what? Most of the time, that's how most days feel. If someone were to ask you every single day at the end of your workday, how was work today? For the most part, you're just going to say, oh, it's pretty good. That's it. There's not huge things that happen. And we think that children should have these big answers for us every single time. But If you just still have the conversation, I'm glad it was pretty good. Tell me, what were some of the best things about today? And maybe it's nothing huge. Maybe it's just, oh, I did really like the lunch you packed today. Thank you for that. And I think I did pretty well on a math worksheet. Those were the good things. Okay, great. Doesn't have to be anything huge, because again, if someone were to ask you at the end of your workday to tell them about the best parts of your workday, it likely isn't these huge things where everyone's going to clap and cheer about how great it was. And then you can say, and what were some of the tough things? And they might say, oh, well, I broke the lead on my pencil. That was kind of embarrassing. And the teacher, she seemed to be in kind of a stressed out mood today. Yeah, it sounds like that was pretty tough, but you made it through. Wow. Great. Anything else you want to talk about? That's it. Because again, if someone were to ask what were the toughest parts of your workday, you could go into a whole thing if you wanted to. But for the most part, it's kind of like, well, there was some stuff I didn't want to do, but I just ended up doing it. And that was the toughest part of my day. That's it. Move on. Then, if you'll implement that consistently without worrying yourself that not every conversation has this huge takeaway and this huge lesson and this huge lecture that you were allowed to give, but you'll implement it consistently, then what it does is it tells children, I can tell them about anything. I can share with them anything that's going on. And over time, they'll be able to share more and more difficult things as they see that your reaction to even difficult things isn't huge. If your reaction is huge, then they'll be like, ooh, I don't think I want to share that anymore. Now, if it is something really, really difficult that your child shares with you, then you can say, that one seems like it's something that we should talk about more. Is that okay with you? And now you've opened up for them to be able to share even more about this tough thing without putting all this pressure on them to share about the tough thing. So there you go. Implement consistency about just checking in with your child and not hyper focusing on either the good or the bad, just kind of making it part of the routine of the day and let them share as much or as little about each thing that they want to share about. And then if more and more difficult things continue to happen, then they'll be more and more likely to share it with you because they've seen over time that you are okay even when they share the difficult things, that you have created a safe environment for them to share even tough stuff. If you'll do that, that will really help support your child's mental health. And then if anything ever comes up that is either consistently happening or an extreme, then you can always reach out for some professional help and get your child the support that they need. Hopefully this answer was helpful. If it was, make sure to like and subscribe to the video so that you don't miss out on any of the mental health fun tips and tricks here.